So yeah, that's Ovishare, the one that sort of people have kind of thought was dead, but it's making a bit of a comeback, kind of the Flickr alternative. All those nice devices. Yeah, got the Nokia E72 down there. That's going to be a popular device in the future. You know, yeah, it's an enterprise device, but it's going to have a lot of consumer crossover. So yeah, Ovishare again, that's actually one. If you don't have a Flickr account, what do you use to share your media? You can use Ovishare because it's set up and ready to go on the phone straight away. Oh, and look, this is an interesting one. Nokia World has always been very much the Nokia-driven agenda. So just point the camera over there. We can see it's the speaker's corner over here. You know, obviously borrowed a little bit, I think, from London there. Speaker's corner. You can write 2 to 3 bits on paper, write provocative statements, and basically have a good chinwag about it. I reckon we should try and get in there later and have a look on the microphone and say something really outrageous, like saying the Symbian platform is the thing that's going to change the world because it's the one that's mass market, will deliver the Nokia services, and MIMO, it's just about shiny devices and who cares about the high-end users. Okay, look, this is another Ovi demo. And also the Ovi Maps, the new Ovi Maps stuff, more points of information, really enhancements coming in there. So let's move on to the next bit of this table. Ovi Store, yeah, everyone's likes to have a big go at the Ovi Store because it's not working at the moment, but we had a good meeting with some Ovi Store representatives, and things like the re-download issue is going to be fixed, and there's a whole load of things coming in phase 2, and they're adding new software all the time. Now up to, I think they said 64 different countries they have developers from, being used in 180 countries with 26 different operators for in-billing SMS support, and that's actually bigger than any other app store in the world. N97s everywhere. We'll try and squeeze in here a little bit, shall we? Yeah, look, see, there's TV out operating again. That looks like a new game to me. What's that? I'm not entirely sure there, but that looks pretty nice. Impressively running smooth there. That's this is the N900 game. So yes, this is actually Bounce for the N900, taking advantage of the extra oomph in the graphics card. Of course, it's got OpenGL 2.0, which means you can do some things with games just as you can on something like the iPhone 3GS. In fact, the hardware platforms are virtually identical between the N900 and the iPhone 3GS, which is actually a good indicator, in my opinion, that the iPhone 3GS and the N900 are very equivalent devices, and the N900 is really the first device from Nokia that truly competes with the iPhone. Just looking over there, there's an X6 on the wall. We'll try and find one of those actually in person rather than a poster, because that's Nokia's other big new smartphone here at the show, along with the N97 Mini. Yes, I'm right in saying that this is the 5230 as well as the X3, which are the two sort of budget in the new X series range, which is really the new name for Express Music. 5230, 149 euros before taxes and subsidies. That's a great example of something that's going to sell by the bucket load. I mean, this is going to massively outsell the N series devices because it's so cheap, and this will do well in the emerging markets. Now, you've got a GPS in here along with 3G, so this is a really capable device. Same touchscreen, so the same UI here. If we turn this on, you see you've got the kinetic scrolling on the home screen, then you've got the link here to Facebook, the music, the maps, and Ovi Store, so you can download content. Really, that's a good summary of what Nokia is about. It's no longer a phone company, it's actually a content platform, or for distributing and delivering content. And you may think, phone calls is what it's all about, but that's just another type of content that's user generated. So moving over to the right, we've got the X3, which is another X series device. This is running Series 40, comes in at about 119 euros. Got the music controls down the side. That one looks like it's a Thai variant. Yep, it's got the symbols on it, something like that anyway. If we turn that on, you'll see that's a Series 40 device, but again, you see it's the home screen and the similar icons. Then moving over to the really interesting one, I think, here is the X6. Now, what's interesting about this one is it's kind of an evolution of the 5800 of their Express Music range, but this is only going to be sold as a comes with music device. It's going to come in at, the brain's gone here, about the 400 euro mark, I think it was. And this is 32 gigabytes of memory, which was one of the things that customers asked for, because they wanted more memory on their comes with music device so they could fit all their music on it. But the big point here that a lot of people will like is it's a capacitive screen. This front here on the front is glass. It's actually a capacitive screen, and so this means things like these gestures are much easier to do. and it's a lot smoother. Personally, I think there's problems with capacitive in terms of you can't do it with your fingernails. See, if I do that, it won't work. And also, it doesn't work if you've got gloves on cold conditions. And capacitive screens work best when there's gestures, which of course that 65th edition doesn't have yet. But this is going to be a very popular one. So let's see if we can get into the music application here, because that'll show off a nice bit of kinetic scrolling. Go into the music player here, and you see if we go to all songs. And opening, still a bit of lag time there, but you can see there it's the kinetic scrolling. You tap it to stop and go back up again, tap and stop again, and that's been implemented in all the list views of S65th edition. So that's things like contacts, even in settings, in messaging as well, which I think will make a big difference, because a lot of people like this kind of kinetic scrolling. It's very easy to do. You can call it flick scrolling as well, but being implemented throughout the range, and we'll actually see these on a lot of devices. We're going to see it's already on the 5530. We'll probably see it on the 5230 as well, and a lot of it's also coming to the N97 in version 2 of the software. And actually, talking of the N97, we should really go and find the N97 Mini. But as we walk onto the right here, this is something that's worth looking at, and this speaks volumes, I think, about what Nokia is doing at this kind of conference. Big contrast to 5 years ago. And look over there, we've got the Twitter stream coming from anyone who wants to put the NW09 hashtag on there, and you get it displayed on the screen here, so you can see it's 0G at the moment. Look, here's Bill Perry, he's one of the heads of his store on forum Nokia side of things, and yes, the Nokia X6 has a capacitive screen. Well, you already know that because I told you that earlier. But great example of how they're letting everyone who's here interact with everybody else. And that kind of openness is not something you typically see at these big corporate events. And certainly, people are quite willing to give their opinion, and they will talk about the opposition. When I was talking to OPK, he talked about RIM as a competitor and how they were competing against that, not hiding away from the fact they've got big competitors. Here's a good one. This is Phil Schwartzman, Nokia Conversations chief blogger, and there you go, appearing, playing with his device, and well done, Phil. We like to see you in the promo material. So we finally tracked down that elusive N97 Mini. Of course, this is the smaller version of the N97, comes in at €450. But the big thing here is it's got slightly less memory, 8 gigabytes versus 32 megabytes, and is a smaller screen and physical dimension, but that same keyboard and styling. And the critical thing is it has exactly the same software as the N97. It'll be running version 2 with all those enhancements we talked about earlier. This gives more choice. And this is the thing that takes the N97 model out of the technology leader segment into the young explorers, basically broadening the appeal of the N97. Although it's a bit controversial to say this with so many geeks listening to this N97 Mini will outsell the N900 because it's a more accessible device. You heard it here first. So one of the things I like about the N97 Mini in particular is it's got better materials, the metallics around the outside, all this kinetic scrolling that we were showing off earlier on other devices. Basically it's the advantage of being out second after the N97. The software has really been optimized, and this will be much better out of the box, I think, than the N97, which let's face it, had a bit of criticisms. Things like the lack of space on C drive will have been fixed, and this is going to be a device to watch, not for all the geeks because they'll be playing with their N900s, but this is the height of technology for S65th edition and touch, and this is going to be very popular amongst the operators because there's also a great deal of potential for extra revenue from data services, from things like Nokia messaging and so on. So there we go, the quick run around the floor at Nokia World 09.